Joe.
Thank you, Excellency the President, for allowing me to be the President of Ghana for the next 30 minutes or so.
Joe.
Thank you very much for the honor. My son, who is organizing this mining in motion, was trained by his uncle, Sesam Jonah, and his brother, Ibrahim Mahama.
Joe.
So they trained him, looked after his school and everything, and then I see the reason why he's into mining is that Ibrahim influenced him.
Joe.
Your Excellency, we are deeply honored to welcome this august audience and thank each one of you for traveling from far and near to join us in this very exciting exercise.
Joe.
At the very outset, we count our blessings in the privilege of sharing this moment under the very distinguished patronage of the President of the Republic, Your Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Joe.
It is a source of immense pride to recount the amount of time and effort the President has invested personally in encouraging our preparation for this summit.
Joe.
And it is only right that we acknowledge and pay tribute to the energy, creativity, and insight with which he has begun the task of researching the agenda for the economic regeneration of our country.
Joe.
We wish you every success, Mr. President.
Joe.
We have assembled together as stakeholders and industry experts to tackle what must be one
of the most pressing issues facing not just Ghana, but many other countries in Africa, which allows us to curb its negative effects while maximizing benefits.
Joe.
It is an awesome feeling to be able to assemble such a glitter of global power, knowledge, and expertise. It is a testimony to the fact that the issue at hand is not only of concern to Ghana or even the continent of Africa, but it is of equal concern to the world at large.
Joe.
This explains the collaboration of the World Bank, the World Gold Council, the African Free Continental Trade Organization, the London Gold Bullion Association, the Dubai Group, and other international institutions in this summit. We are most grateful to all those who have made this possible.
Joe.
We have also been fortunate to enjoy the fruitful collaboration, support, and encouragement of the diplomatic missions of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and of course, our sister African countries, the Republic of Guinea, South Africa, and Nigeria.
Joe.
We are particularly proud to welcome the delegation also from Guinea, whose presence underscores the level of importance this must be to the continent of Africa.
Joe.
We also acknowledge the moral support of Ambassador Virginia Palmer, the United States ambassador, who also gave my son all the support in organizing this. Excellency the President, Excellencies and Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, the August audience has been assembled today to begin a 3-day dialogue on the mining industry in Ghana and Africa.
So,
mining has always been critical to Ghana and to the African continent. As you will recall, until a mere 70 years ago, we were called the Gold Coast,
reflecting the prevalence of the precious metal in our land. Mining has been the bulwark of our economy through the ages. It remains critical to our nation today, accounting for over 12% of GDP and providing the largest source of employment.
So,
Ghana is not the only African country for whom mining is so critical. Most African countries are as rich in mineral resources and are dependent on mining for the raw materials they export to earn the foreign currency they need for development.
So,
we also need to underscore the fact that the producer countries are not alone in the reliance upon the mining industry. Mining is equally critical to the global economy because they provide the bulk of the raw materials that feed the industries of the globe and create employment for millions around the world.
So,
it is the reason the global market has to be concerned with any developments that threaten to impact negatively on the industry.
So,
The universal concern about the impact of illicit mining on the environment in Ghana is therefore perfectly understandable and very much welcome. The pollution of our water bodies, the destruction of our forest space, and the degradation of our virgin lands cannot be allowed to continue unchecked.
Jump.
They exasperate the destruction of our environment and multiply our vulnerability to the effects of climate change.
Jump.
It cannot be denied that a cocktail of regulatory failures, political miscalculations, and corruption have combined to make the task of curbing the menace more challenging. But there's no issue here which is insoluble. We have an opportunity to calmly dissect the policy options and tools available to deal with the problem.
Jump.
I feel sure it is within the capacity of this gathering of industry experts, end users, and policymakers to fashion our solutions that work for the good of the nation.
Yeah.
I feel obliged, however, to call for a sense of perspective. The mining industry has had its challenges in recent years, symbolized more forcibly by the near collapse of Anglo-Gold Ashanti in Obuasi, but Obuasi is back on track, and overall the industry to me is in robust health. Almost all our major companies are improving on their performance. The emergence of the new gold board is a creative initiative with new horizons for the industry, increasing the raising prospects for more investments and higher yields. As I'm sure we will hear from the Minister for Lands, who will be speaking later, the outlook for the future is really great, with increasing evidence of the presence of some of the new critical minerals the world needs to drive the new green economy.
Jump.
Unfortunately, we are in danger of diverting our attention from the bright prospects ahead onto the avoidable pitfalls of illicit mining. For the sake of the nation, please let us hold our nerves and allow ourselves to unwittingly obstruct the path to an even more robust industry.
Jump.
Since we began preparations for the summit, the world has gone a seismic change. No matter the perspective from which one may view the consternations in the geopolitical environment, the impact on Africa,
Jump.
individual countries as well as the entire continent, is profound and irresistible.
Jump.
It injects a new urgency to the challenges we are trying to address. The clear, unambiguous message I glean from the new era is that Africa must chart a new path towards the last quarter of the first century of our post-colonial experience.
Jump.
The record of our first half century of independence has been unremarkable, to say the least. And no matter how we seek to justify our failings, the point is that we cannot persist with failure into the last quarter of the century.
Jump.
The world is telling us that it is crunch time for our beloved continent. Crunch time for every African nation, from east to west, north to south, to position ourselves for a new approach to the development of the continent. Fortunately, the leaders like President Mahama have emerged with a vision fully aligned with what would be the best interest of the continent.
Jump.
The opportunity to hear the President spell out this vision today should give this assembly the extra dimension to set us on a new level.
Jump.
Gold, diamond, platinum, and the critical minerals represent the ultimate in the grace of God to mankind, or if you prefer, the ultimate of nature's gift to man. They are not of yesterday. They've been since the beginning of time and have been arguably the most powerful tools in the evolution of economic development and in wealth creation for nations as well as individuals. It has been Africa's pride that God has been extraordinarily generous to us in the richness of resources with which the continent has been endowed.
Jump.
These resources are the core of wealth creation and the economic health of nations. So logically, if we can get the production and management of these resources right, we should be well away from the poverty trap.
Jump.
This is what we seek to explore with this dialogue. Two critical questions moved us to embark on this exercise. The first question, how is it that in the age of science and technology, our generation should be saddled with all the carnage of illicit mining and the nation appears helpless to beat it?
Jump.
The second question, with all the resources with which the continent is endowed, how is it that Africa continues to wallow in poverty and want? Our people constantly at the mercy of foreign philanthropy.
Jump.
In the answers to these questions, I hope this assembly will open a new page in the African narrative.
Jump.
We do not need to belabor the point that gold, silver, and all the precious metals of the mining industry have been with humanity since eternity. The book of Genesis account of creation in the Holy Bible tells us, and the gold of the land is good.
Jump.
And so it has been through every epoch of human history. The majesty and power of King Solomon was best reflected in the grandeur of gold. At the birth of Christ, gold, silver, and fragrance,
Jump.
gold, silver, and fragrance were precious gifts the three wise men brought to the blessed Mary.
Jump.
The pharaohs of Egypt were garlanded in life and in death in the glow of gold. Indeed, every empire known to history rested in great part on gold.
Jump.
And in the industrial age of our time, gold has been the foundation upon which the wealth of nations have been built.
Jump.
Through every phase of this evolution, gold has been extracted from the depth of the land and refined by fire in the furnace.
Jump.
Everyone in this room knows that the process of extracting and refining the metal has never been hazard-free. Indeed, every mining process entails a degree of hazard which cannot be dismissed. But then, the mining industry has always had processes to mitigate the hazards and protects the environment. And my brother, Dr. Samjona, can tell you this. Today, at the global level, it is fair to say mining is safer than it has ever been. And the main operators in the industry in Ghana are no different. They are as efficient and as safe as any other country. So frankly, the ongoing struggle over illicit mining in Ghana is deeply depressing. It is depressing because the destructive effects are so obvious it beggars belief that there should be any pullback on efforts to combat them. And it is depressing because there are alternatives in the acknowledged best practices that offer greater benefits to the affected communities. Probably the most costly effect of illicit mining to me is the distraction from the real challenge we face, which is how we maximize the benefits of our noble heritage. We have to be true to ourselves and admit that we have not done a good job of representing and protecting ourselves in the competitive global market. Sami, I thank you very much on this one. Through the mining industry and then gold in particular has been pivotal to our economy over the years. When the statisticians tell us that mining has contributed an average of 12.3% to GDP and being the largest employer of labor in Ghana, they seem impressive. But how many of us, policymakers as well as social thinkers, have tried to assess the true value of the resources we disperse? How many have followed the value chain to the final consumer to calculate the true value of what we sell as raw materials? The most cursory analysis should tell us that what we proudly exalt in our statistics is only a pittance of the true value of the resources we deliver to the market. The real wealth flows from the value which is added along the so-called value chain. But we are painfully excluded from this juicy portion of the value chain because the industries in the manufacturing process to whom we sell the raw materials are only located in the already rich countries. In this scenario, it is impossible to deny the contention that some sweat to egg out of crumbs. Some sweat to egg out of crumbs while others cream the milk. Indeed, even the gold market has been characterized as split between the golden rich of the end-use wealth and the gilded paupers of the produce nations. This world of inequity is untenable and unsustainable.
Jump.
Admittedly, this is a much broader issue encompassing the entire structure of the global economy. But because of its commanding posture in the divide between the North and the South, the mining industry is in a position to act as a catalyst for change.
Jump.
If we acknowledge that this inequity is at the root of ever widening gulf between an increasingly impoverished Africa and the wealthy world, it should down on us that we may be storing the ingredients for social disaster and disorder with catastrophic consequences, possibly sooner than we realize. And if we are seized of this danger, then we owe it to ourselves, to the industry we are devoted to, and to posterity,
Jump.
not to look the other way, but to grab the nettle and move the dial in a new direction.
Jump.
The gold market can show the way. It can show the way by encouraging the titans of the market from London to Dubai, from Zurich to Brussels, to invest in partnerships in producer countries for the establishment of manufacturing industry that will give them the capacity to add value to their raw materials.
Jump.
It may seem on the surface a curious request to make seeing this world, this would inevitably lead to the industrial world having to cede or lose a substantial part of their market share of manufactured goods.
Jump.
But that is precisely what needs to be done if the world is to contain the consequences of the inequities of the present. Continued social instability in Africa needs volatility, feeds volatility on global markets, which cannot be good for any investor. An economically strengthened Africa can only be a bulwark for market stability, which must be what the doctor orders for the investor.
Jump.
What has occupied my mind as I watch the warning signs is the necessity for the process towards a necessary reversal through genuine collaboration rather than divorce. I think it is in everybody's interest to reduce the heightened risk of doing business in Africa and encourage a greater willingness to invest in productive enterprises on the continent.
Jump.
Last year, I had the privilege of addressing the Citibank Group in London, and we urged the international finance community to be less risk-averse towards Africa, but demonstrate a greater disposition to work with the private sector to strengthen their capacity to move the economies upward.
Jump.
The long history of productive collaboration puts the mining sector in a position to be an example of the mutual trust we need going forward. Indeed, the cherished friendships within the Gold Council encourages me to dare to think that we can work together to herald a new era of equity and shared prosperity. I thank you very
Jump.
much.
Jump.
Please be seated. And with a voice that echoes the counsel of his ancestors and the clarity of a forward-thinking statesman, please help me appreciate our King, His Majesty OTUMFOUR Osei-Tutu. We thank you ever so much, our King, for those wise words, which now set the tone for another foundational address on tokenization. Gold without borders, tokenization and the next chapter in African trade. Your Excellency the President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to him, gold should no longer be just a mineral. It should be a digital key to financial inclusion, cross-border wealth, and Africa's rightful place in the fourth industrial revolution. It is with such a rich perspective he joins us to navigate on this transformative theme, gold without borders, tokenization, and the next chapter in African trade. The Secretary General of the AFCFTA is not
just a diplomat, but a revolutionary architect of Pan-African
dismantling barriers, and igniting a new era of shared prosperity. With the coming into force of the protocols on digital trade, women and youth in African trade being the first of its kind in the whole wide world. Mr. President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I give you His Excellency Wamkele Mene.
Your Excellency, President John Mahama, President of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, His Majesty OTUMFOUR Osei Tutu II, Your Excellency President John Kufuor, former President of Ghana, Honorable Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Ministers from the Government of Ghana, ministers from across the length and breadth of our continent, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners, Ambassadors, distinguished leaders in the mining sector, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for us to be invited to participate in this inaugural event. If I may congratulate His Majesty the King for the vision of convening us here to elaborate on the sustainability of the mining sector, not just in Ghana, but throughout the whole African continent. I also want to thank His Excellency President Mahama for his patronage of this event and for also his vision of sustainability of the mining sector. The AFCFTA Secretariat and the African Union, which I have the honor to represent here today, is proud to be associated with this event. It is, of course, fitting that we endorse and fully support this event. The government of Ghana has been instrumental in the success of the AFCFTA, in establishing a significant presence here in Ghana. The AFCFTA Secretariat is the largest African Union presence outside of Addis Ababa. I came here on the 15th of August 2020. To start the Secretariat. I was the only one in the Secretariat. Today, as we speak, we have 200 officials from across the African continent, representing different languages, different regions of our continent. And the reason we have been able to succeed in this mission is because of the support of the government of Ghana. As we speak, there are 49 state parties to the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, the fastest ratification of any instrument in the African Union, indeed, even under the Organization of African Unity. All of the protocols that our heads of states directed that we negotiate and conclude have been concluded. We are now transitioning to implementation mode to address Africa's pressing challenges, and the sustainability of the mining sector indeed is one of the challenges that we must confront. I therefore want to once again express my profound appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana for the successful implementation of the AFCFTA and the establishment of the Secretariat in 2020. As was noted, we meet at a time of profound global uncertainty, marked by shifting geo-economic tensions, the weaponization of trade policy, investment nationalism, industrial nationalism. Indeed, the continent of Africa must respond to these challenges. This imperative is reinforced by the ongoing strategic competition, which is increasingly defined by an approach that says me first, others last. Where does the African continent land in this environment? This dynamic makes it all the more urgent for Africa to deepen continental integration, to strengthen our resilience, and assert the economic interests of our continent more boldly on the global scale, especially as changes in global trade policy are looming, including the uncertainty of the future of AGOA. The operationalization of the AFCFTA offers the continent of Africa a transformative opportunity to drive industrial development, to drive sustainability, and to create a domestic market in Africa. The AFCFTA is a homegrown initiative rooted in Africa's own vision of prosperity. As a flagship project of Agenda 2063, the AFCFTA embodies our collective ambition to enhance intra-Africa trade, to ensure our own economic sustainability as a continent, and to see through the vision of our founding mothers and fathers when in May 1963, in the historic city of Addis Ababa, expressed a vision of a united Africa with an end to colonialism, and more importantly, a vision of economic integration. It is therefore befitting that the AFCFTA Secretariat is here in Ghana, a country that has always been at the vanguard of leadership in Africa. Key to the success of this agenda in this changing global environment will be how our continent leverages on digital technologies for sustainability, for inclusion, for poverty eradication, and to create jobs for millions and millions of young Africans. The Protocol on Digital Trade of the AFCFTA, which our heads of states adopted in February, is now in implementation mode. It is the first of its kind around the world and addresses very important aspects of Africa's digital economy, including payments, interoperable payment systems, movement of data, the commercialization of data, and the right to move data throughout the continent. Therefore, the gathering here today, over the next few days, is timely and indeed is consistent with the ambition of the Protocol on Digital Trade of the AFCFTA. The theme that I have been invited to address, I quote, "Gold without borders, tokenization and the next chapter in African trade," unquote, is indeed, as I mentioned earlier, timely. The Protocol on Digital Trade provides the legal framework for us to explore the sustainability of the mining sector, leveraging on digital technologies. Gold tokenization offers a practical demonstration for operationalization of the AFCFTA's digital framework, including the reduction of transaction costs, boosting intra-Africa trade in the mineral sector, improving traceability, and enhancing financial inclusion. This not only reinforces the AFCFTA's commitment to value addition, processing of our minerals here on our continent, and the rules-based multilateral trading system born in Africa, but also serves as an example of the forward-looking, inclusive innovation and inclusive innovation that all of us must champion throughout our continent. And so as we gather here today, permit me to state the obvious. We are not gathering to elaborate and discuss and dialogue on gold. It is about redefining the future of trade, particularly in the digital age, and it is about redefining the role of the mining sector and gold in particular in Africa's digital economy. The AFCFTA Secretariat is indeed proud to be associated with such a forward-looking event. This event, I am sure, will build on the momentum of the recently successful Digital Trade Forum, which was hosted by the President of Zambia and the AFCFTA Secretariat in May 2025. The forum reaffirmed Africa's digital potential. The political commitment is there, the investor commitment is there, and of course, our young people who are at the cutting edge of Africa's digital economy are ever ready to seize the opportunities that the digital economy presents to all of us. The International Financial Corporation estimates that by the year 2035, Africa's digital economy will be in excess of over 712 billion United States dollars, contributing over 6% to Africa's GDP. This is an immense opportunity that all of us must take advantage of. Our continent is a major gold producer, contributing over 1,000 tons in 2023, which is more than 20% of global output. This represents a significant source of wealth, with a large share coming from artisanal and small-scale mining, particularly here, our home in Ghana. However, despite this, up to 40% of Africa's gold remains undeclared, with an estimated $30 billion smuggled annually. This deprives governments of vital resources, of vital revenue, and undermines ethical sourcing and limits miners' access to finance. Therefore, tokenization offers a way to transform the structure of the gold industry. By representing physical gold digitally on secure blockchain platforms, tokenization enables traceable, near-instant cross-border trade in a secure manner. Globally, this model is gaining traction, with over $2 billion in tokenized gold assets as of 2024 alone, signaling rising investor confidence. Tokenization also presents the opportunity for us, as I mentioned earlier, to reduce costs, to ensure efficiency, and to expand on our ambition of financial inclusion. Now, if I may turn to the instruments of trade that can be offered by the AFCFTA as we transition the gold sector to align with our digital economy. The AFCFTA has local content rules, or rules of origin as they are called in trade speak. This shall enable the industrialization of the sector and shall ensure value addition and processing takes place on the African continent. The utilization of rules of origin to advance industrial development of the mining sector is a low-hanging fruit in our view, which we must take advantage of. There are various initiatives around our continent which indicate that more than ever, the continent of Africa is ready to take advantage of the digital technologies as they relate to the mining sector. Here in Ghana, the new Ghana Gold Board is introducing blockchain-based tracking to formalize production and reduce and eliminate smuggling. We see similar initiatives in South Africa, in the Central African Republic, across our continent, where digital technologies are deployed to advance on our ambition of industrial development, job creation, and competitiveness. These initiatives signal a decisive
move beyond extractive models towards a future where Africa's gold is traceable, digitally tradable, and offers opportunities at inclusion. As we look to the future, the promise of gold tokenization is clear, but there are risks that we have to be aware of. To realize its full potential, we must proceed with due diligence, foresight, and collective action. Here's the good news. We are not starting from scratch as a continent. With the AFCFTA, we already have in place, in practice, a transformative agenda for Africa's trade landscape, which provides the foundational legal tools that are required to advance on this ambition. I therefore urge all of us gathered here to consider very carefully all of the trade instruments and the trade tools that are available at our disposal as we seek to champion the sustainability of the mining sector, and gold in particular, in this era of Africa's digital economy. With 49 members of the African Union having ratified the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, a market of 1.4 billion people, with a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion United States dollars, the AFCFTA offers an opportunity to scale not just industrial output in the mining sector, but also to scale productivity, investments, and offers legal certainty and regulatory clarity that I am sure will attract more investment. Let me conclude, Your Excellencies and Your Majesty, on this note. I believe we stand at a defining moment for our continent. As we navigate the turbulent global economic environment that all of us find ourselves in, on the face of it, which may appear as a challenge, actually is an opportunity for our continent. It is time that our continent redoubles, that we redouble our efforts at trade liberalization, investment liberalization, and creating opportunities when we process our own minerals, value addition of our own minerals, and attract investment in the mining, in the processing of our mining. While progress is visible, the challenges also remain. Therefore, our resolve to shape a future where Africa's resources uplift all of its people, and again I wish to emphasize leveraging on digital technologies, this shall require that we become even more pragmatic in our actions and move collectively as a continent. Africa's gold has long been a symbol of wealth. Now, through innovation, collaboration, and leveraging on technologies, we have an opportunity to turn this vision into inclusive growth opportunities for all. Tokenization presents that opportunity to build a secure, transparent, and integrated mining sector where value is created, retained, and shared here on our continent. Allow me, as I close, to once again express my immense appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana, and also to His Majesty the King, for the vision of convening us here to elaborate on the future of gold and the mining sector in particular. It is through Ghana's proactive and unwavering commitment and support of the AFCFTA that we are able today to proudly claim that not only do we have the world's largest free trade area, but also we are at the cutting edge of digital innovation through the protocol on digital trade. We also claim with pride that for the very first time around the world, we have a protocol on women and youth in trade, which does not exist anywhere else, which is able to ensure that we deliver on the promise and the aspiration of inclusivity, creating opportunities for women-owned and youth-owned businesses, and that we move beyond aspirations, which are, of course, important, but that we codify into legally binding commitments these aspirations of creating opportunities for small, medium enterprises that are owned by women and young people. With these words, I wish to thank all of you for your attention, and I wish us good deliberations over the next few days. I thank you very much.
Wow. An unshakable advocate for Africa's economic sovereignty and a leader at the forefront of rewriting Africa's trade destiny. Please, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, is yours for the applause. A grateful continent says thank you for all that you do and call on us to do. We now want to have another perspective, that of Ghana's vision for a sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining sector. In line with global demand for critical minerals, Ghana is advancing plans to scale up exploration and extraction of strategic resources such as bauxite, lithium, and others. The government is positioning the artisanal small-scale mining sector as a cornerstone of its green industrial efforts, making 2025 a pivotal year for investment opportunities in Ghana's ASM mining sector. But we ask, what is Ghana's plan or Ghana's vision for sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining sector? It falls to a distinguished public servant who currently serves as Ghana's Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and MP for Lembele, who comes to us undoubtedly with a track record that is unsurpassed, giving his legacy as Ghana's former Energy and Petroleum Minister, and ladies and gentlemen, having transformed Ghana's energy landscape through the landmark Sankofa and 10 oil field development that powers our nation till date. Make welcome, yours and mine, the Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa.
Thank you. Your Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Majesty, OTUMFOUR to the second, the Santihini, Your Excellency, President John Kufuor, our former President, Your Excellencies, colleague ministers from the continent, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered this morning to explore innovative ideas. We are gathered this morning, as OTUMFOUR has stated, to talk about artisanal small-scale mining, a trade that has been as old as we have been around, but a trade that in the 21st century has really been a real challenge. And this morning in my presentation, you will see that I'll be washing Ghana's dirty laundry publicly. But I'm doing so for good reasons. I'm doing so because we are all convinced that we have to chart a new way forward to ensure that artisanal small-scale mining will be done responsibly and sustainably. As I've said, globally, this is a trade that has been around for a long time. 45 million people around the globe are engaged in this trade. It started off with hammers and chisel, rudimentary methods of mining, and has really metamorphosed into a very sophisticated method. Now, if you hear artisanal small-scale mining, what you see is the use of excavators and other sophisticated equipment. And what has really come in its wake is the destruction of our forests, destruction of our water bodies, pollution of our waters, and really with all that it comes with health implications that we have to grapple with. The story in Ghana is not different. In Ghana,
Over 1 million people are engaged in this trade. Year to date, and if you want to know how important this trade is, just up to this quarter, we've shaved over $4 billion of gold out of the shores of Ghana. 52% of that gold comes from artisanal small-scale mining. That should tell you how important it is. But ladies and gentlemen, it comes with illegalities. It comes with challenges that in Ghana we call the challenges of Galamsey. And as I stated, when you become a minister for lands and natural resources, as I did 4 months ago, and my first briefing was from the Forestry Commission. And they came to tell me something that shook me, that out of the 288 forest reserves that we have in Ghana, 44 had been completely destroyed. I mean, destroyed. And then I asked, how has it been destroyed? Because 5,500 hectares of that forest that has been around for over 200 years has just been condemned. And just imagine 5,500 hectares. That is 7,500 football fields. That is completely gone, that has degraded, that has to be reclaimed. What is worse is that because our major river bodies take their sources from these forests, almost 80% of our major waters take their source from these rivers. We also have pollution of our water, our main water bodies. And to the extent that the turbidity levels of these water bodies, which has to be 0 to 500, are now between 5,000 and 12,000 NTU, making it impossible for the Ghana Water Company to even treat our water. So when you hear the shutdown of the Takwa plant, that is the result of that. It gets even worse. 9 out of these forest reserves has completely been taken over by armed gangs. That's a no-go area that the forest guards cannot even enter. And those were the challenges that we faced head-on. It was even worse when we were briefed that geological investigation that should be able to help identify mineralized areas was not happening because the Ghana Geological Authority had not capacity to do so. It had even extended the challenge and the sophistication of this challenge we dealt with. From 2022 to 2024, out of 845 arrests we made, we couldn't even prosecute them. Only 31 or 35 were able to prosecute. That's a paltry 4%. And that is really the challenge we had to deal with.
And then we ask, how did we get here? And I think we are asking this question not because we are interested in figure pointing, but we are asking this question so we can get to the root causes of this challenge and address this fundamental challenge that is basically coming to destroy us. I have not even talked about the health implications of all the things I've talked about. What is at stake is political will and the determination for all of us to deal with this challenge. And that is how we began. We began 4 months ago with a 5-pillar approach in dealing with this challenge. First, we realized clearly that the licensing regime, the process of issuing licenses, had to be completely reformed. We revoked licenses and set up to basically review every license to identify the processes. Because it was clear that first, the bureaucracy would not even encourage people to apply for licenses. And for those who were getting the licenses, they were getting the licenses because they were politically connected. So we're not following due diligence and doing it. Oftentimes, people would take licenses from Accra and go to a mining community and waive it. And this is the first time the community is seeing this investor.
all of that had to change. We decided to also make sure that if you have 7,500 football fields to recover, and you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars to really recover, you need law enforcement to come. We strengthened law enforcement. Decided to work hard. In the last 5 months, we've done over 500 arrests, and over 200 plus and other equipments have been seized. We continue aggressively to deal with that. But we are under no illusion. I talked about I'm very happy to also say that we've recovered. Out of the 9 no-go areas, we've recovered thanks to the collaboration of the Ghana police and the Ghana Army. Out of the 9, we recovered 9 of this forest reserve, and now the forestry guards are able to take over that and take care of that. We also know that one of the critical things that we have to do is to provide alternatives. The reason why we have so many of our young people in this trade is because of lack of jobs and lack of skills. That's why His Excellency the President has made creation of jobs. If you see the President having established the whole Ministry of Employment and Empowerment, it is because we need to deal with this issue of empowerment of our young people. At the ministry itself, we are working on the National Alternative Livelihood Program to create skills and create jobs. The President just launched last month a 1 million coders program. This year alone, the target is to train 150,000 young people in technology skills. We are working closely with employment agencies to create different models of jobs to get our young people empowered. We are under no illusion that we can solve this problem with force. And that is why engagement with key stakeholders and education is really very critical. We've been very aggressive in engaging key stakeholders across the country. And ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, join me to thank OTUMFOUR for his leadership. I mean, his commitment is very, very clear. The fact that he's leading this effort for this mining emotion speaks volumes about his commitment to this fight. There are other strategies that we are also adopting to try to address this challenge. And I think that at the top level, as you know, we have launched what we call the Blue Water Initiative. This is a two-pronged approach where we are dechemicalizing our polluted water bodies to ensure that it turns back blue again. We are also working on what we call the blue water gas. This year, our target is to train 2,000 young people. We've already deployed over 450 of them. And we picked them from the river areas. They are working close with the Ghana Navy and the Ghana Police. And IGP, thank you very much for the coordination. And these young people are going to be an interface, working at key intelligence officers and basically the first responded in these riverine areas. And we've already seen the impact. We are also working on a major initiative called the Tree for Life initiative. Thanks to the President, he launched this in March this year.
And I'm very happy that this week is the week of seedling planting. We intend to plant 30 million seedlings. So when we leave here, come for your seedlings and let's do the planting. Very, very, very important. I am very, very excited that we've invited the large-scale mining companies and we've already started seeing positive signs. And I can mention Newmont's leadership in this. So thank you. Thank you.
Very important step we've taken is that we believe that the coordination with the security agencies must be very permanent. So we've established anti-mining secretariat, working closely with the national security and agencies to make sure we sustain the protection of all these reclaimed degraded areas. We are also doing what we call geotagging and geofencing of excavators. And why is this important? This is important because just in 2024, the third largest item that we imported into Ghana was excavators. 6 billion Ghana cedi. Now ask me, mostly all of them was finding their way into legal mining activities. So what we are doing now is that we are collaborating with the Ministry of Transport and the driving and the licensing authorities to track and geofence every excavator that enters the country. Already we've done a pilot of 70 excavators that we are able to track 24 hours a day. The intention is to basically expand this program and make sure that every excavator that enters this country is tracked. We are working closely with the World Bank and others to build the capacity of the Ghana Geological Survey Authority. Investment in geological investigation is very critical. This is the reason why everybody is digging everywhere, because they don't know where the gold is. If we can basically identify mineralized areas, and I am very, very interested in the biggest program we are about to launch. If we identify all these mineralized areas, and what we are doing next is the establishment of small-scale mining cooperatives. This is an initiative that is basically being done, taking lessons from the past and learning all the things we've done in the past that has failed us. And the lesson is very, very clear. You must have the community ownership when you're establishing such community programs. It cannot be that you put the community name on a program and the community will not own it. And that is our focus. We are also working with large-scale mining companies. I remember telling them recently that every university has a primary school. Your job is now to have a small-scale mining company in your operating area. Extend the same good practices to these small-scale mining cooperatives. And I'm sure that the response that are coming, we are going to work with them to get small-scale mining cooperatives in every large-scale area to make sure we can transfer the best practices and create all the jobs we need. Working with the Go Board as well, we create a backdoor opportunity for all of these programs. And so the issues that has been talked about as traceability and all the challenges of the gold that will come up here will be addressed in this process. More importantly, I think that this has been talked about. Just in the last few months, we established the Go Board, and the impact is already being felt. And I think that the process, the past challenges we've had with smuggling, illegalities, and making sure that we as a country add value to the gold is finally where we are hoping to do. And what we have said to key investors is that you must come to Ghana with a mindset to partner for a win-win, making sure you get a good return on your investment by living with the satisfaction that the communities where the gold came from have also seen some transformation. There's also the Mineral Development Fund established to address concerns of development, infrastructure development of communities in the mining area. The MIF is also a program to make sure we can invest revenue and royalties so that good return on investment can be used to improve the lives of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible for us to mine sustainably and responsibly. And I think this mining conference has told us that as we gather here today, we are going to leave here with a clear conviction
that the stories we've seen, the devastation we've seen, the pollution we've seen, we are going to transform that. And that it is possible to do small-scale mining, do it responsibly, sustainably, not only for this generation, but the future generation. I thank you very much. It is now my privilege. It is now my profound honor to introduce a leader whose vision transcends the ordinary, a man whose unwavering. Under his leadership, Ghana has embraced a new era of responsible mining, where sustainability is not just a policy but a promise. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise together in recognition of a leader who has injected off the Gold Coast, the beacon of sustainable mining in Africa, the proud sign of this beautiful land we call Ghana. The man who is determined to turn our water bodies blue and our rivers, our water bodies blue and our forests green again. His Excellency, John Dramani Mahama. Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you, thank you. Kindly resume your seats, thank you. His Royal Majesty Osei Tutu, the second king of the Asante Kingdom, His Excellency, the former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Agyekum Kufuor.
His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi. Let me thank you for the brilliant presentation you just gave us. Ministers of State present here. Our international partners who have traveled from far to join us at this summit, chief executives and champions of the mining industry, our members of the diplomatic corps, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's my singular honor to welcome you to the Summit here today, not merely to talk about minerals, but to reimagine the future of mining in Africa. And so permit me first to express my heartfelt gratitude to OTUMFOUR Osei Tutu II for his inspiring vision and leadership in convening this summit. Nana, we thank you very much. Your unwavering commitment to Ghana's development and environmental sustainability is admirable. Let me also thank Ohiniba Kwekudia and the Ashanti Green Initiative team for delivering on this vision, and also the Ministry of Lands and Rare Earth Minerals. Our continent is said to hold about 91%. Over half of the cobalt and manganese in the world is found in Africa. Vast and Ghana, as the leading gold producer in Africa, reflects both the opportunities and the contradictions in this sector. Mining contributes substantially to our GDP, to our foreign exchange and employment. But I must say, it has not transformed the lives of our citizens as it should. And so we must ask ourselves the hard question, product. But the real value, which is jobs, technology, and revenue, is captured elsewhere. My administration is committed to moving beyond extraction to transformation. And this means that we will be investing in the downstream industry of the mineral value chain, refining our gold and developing our jewelry industry,
processing our bauxite into alumina and aluminum, converting lithium into battery components for export, and using iron ore to feed a steel industry, manufacturing, energy, logistics, and research. That is how we build resilient and diversified economies. In the past, huge concessions were carved out for foreign mining interests. State mining assets were sold to foreign companies because we lacked the capital, the technology, and the human resources to fully exploit the natural resources that nature so bountifully blessed us with. But that situation has changed now. It is possible to raise capital. Technology is available. And Ghana has a huge human resource with expertise in every aspect of the extractive industry. We therefore believe that there should be increased participation and investments from Ghanaians in exploiting our mineral wealth. We welcome foreign investors to partner with us in our extractive industry. We want a partnership of mutual benefit. And we commend the relationship we currently enjoy with our partners such as Goldfields, Anglo Gold, Cardinal Namdini, Newmont, and all the others. We'll soon codify our thoughts concerning increased Ghanaian participation using vehicles like our stock exchange and other instruments to increase participation of the Ghanaian private sector in our natural resource exploitation. As the world becomes more transactional in relations between countries, it becomes even more critical for us to use our natural resource endowment to create prosperity for our people. Another pillar of reform is inclusive mining. Over 1 million people in Ghana depend on artisanal and small-scale mining for sustenance. However, this sector has often been informal, conflict-prone, and environmentally damaging. We're therefore taking bold steps to formalize the small-scale mining sector through initiatives such as the Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program, the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project. And as the Minister said, there are various initiatives underway. These initiatives aim to provide legal access to land, training, equipment, and shared infrastructure. We also will eliminate the use of mercury and supporting environmentally safe alternatives for mining. Let me be clear at this juncture. Artisanal miners are not enemies of the state. If properly trained and supported, they can be allies in our development. Working together with the small-scale mining sector, we will reclaim our forest reserves and restore the purity of our water bodies. Our river guards are working on clearing mining activities in our water bodies and on the banks of our rivers. We've successfully, as the Minister told you, we have successfully cleared illegal miners out of 8 out of the 9 no-go zone forest reserves. We will track excavators, as the Minister said, in order to know whether they are being used for illegal mining or not. And we intend to change the permitting regime. Ghana has more excavators in this country than in the whole of Africa. We're going to change the permitting regime. You will not be allowed to import an excavator or put it on a ship unless you get a permit before you can ship an excavator. Mining cannot be not inevitable byproducts of mining. They are the consequences of poor governance and enforcement. We're strengthening environmental, social, and governance frameworks across the mining sector. And this will include, like I said, banning toxic chemicals in gold processing like mercury, mandating site rehabilitation. And so it means that small-scale miners and medium-scale mining must also have. The world is transitioning. The use of fossil fuels is waning, and clean energy is rising. With this comes a surge in demand for critical minerals like lithium, graphite, nickel, and other rare earth minerals. Ghana is ready to play a central role. We're establishing, build refining and battery manufacturers, promote local content and technology transfer. In this new global order, our mineral wealth is not just a national asset, but a strategic geopolitical resource. The Gold Board, a key plank in my administration strategy to reform the gold mining sector and ensuring maximum returns from our gold exports. Ghana's gold exports earned the country 2.7 billion. Ghana's gold exports through the PMMC and the Gold Board earned the country $2.7 billion between January and April. And this figure is expected to increase exponentially throughout the year. But the Gold Board is not only about exporting gold. To soon roll out a track and trace system to ensure that Ghana's gold exports are procured from environmentally sustainable sources. The Gold Board will work to train artisanal and small-scale miners in responsible and sustainable mining practices. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in collaboration with the Gold Board, is also soon to launch, in cooperation with the private sector, an ambitious project to reclaim 10,000 hectares of mined out lands. The Gold Board will also be working towards attaining LBMA certification for Ghana's gold. Excellencies, the future of mining is not national, it is continental. The African Continental Free Trade Area provides us with an unparalleled opportunity to retain value within Africa, establish regional supply chains, create joint refining and research institutions, and strengthen intra-African investment flows. So let us move from competition to collaboration. Ghana is open to partnerships with Guinea on bauxite, with DRC on cobalt, with South Africa on platinum, and all willing nations on mutual beneficiation. For this to succeed, we need governance anchored in transparency and accountability, and my administration is committed to strengthening the Minerals Commission, digitizing licensing and monitoring, publishing mineral revenues and contracts, removing bottlenecks for responsible investors. We'll work to ensure that mining revenues benefit all Ghanaians, especially the host communities. Development must be visible, equitable, and lasting in our mining. Gentlemen, mining in motion is more than just a theme. It is a declaration that Africa's mineral wealth will no longer be a curse, but will be a blessing. That Ghana's gold will not enrich others while leaving our people in poverty. And that this summit will chart a new path of value, sustainability, and dignity. I therefore call on all present government to rise to this challenge with this spirit of cooperation.
AFCFTA, His Excellency Wan Kelimene, says something. All ministers from Ghana and abroad, please get ready for next. Humbly I invite all ministers from Ghana and beyond, please join us. The last party will be with the Secretary General of the African Mining Strategy Group, His Excellency Moses Michel Ngangu, Mr. Seward Bailey, Chief Corporate Affairs and Sustainability Officer, Ngangu Ashanti, Mr. Alan Jorgensen, the Head of Responsible Business Conduct, OECD Center, Mr. David Tate, CEO, World Gold Council, and Mr. Sami Gentry, Managing Director, the Ghana Gold Board. Show of magnanimity from our ministers, please. A round of applause is in order. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ministers, thank you, Mr. President, Your Majesty. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of seats. Please help me appreciate the President of the Republic once again for his thoughtful keynote address. Please. Round of applause. Thank you, Mr. President. Your message is clear. And resources must work for Ghana. Little generations while preserving the land that gives us wealth. Because under your leadership, Ghana will not just be extracting minerals, but the mining opportunities, innovation, and sustainable growth. So this end, I would all rise and acknowledge one more time
our host nation Ghana as we sing the anthem.
Oh, Jesus. Wapo within a mafro. Doctor, a fair kwami nyakukodo. Shebe kumu aneni fa. Udia, koko wanemua. Ultima pamae. Mina mebo wachiri na mwe. Doc, sani amidi mosatimu. Within my flow, those cowards are probably just fighting at the good water. They should be come on and fire. Udia, Coco anymore. Tina Paba, then I'm about to read no more. Sanya, be the most it's slow. Who are with the one I'm casino. Walk on the